That's living the cold open. Oh no, it's happening. Make it stop.
The cracks in time that followed me everywhere I go. Never mind. We're gonna up the ante from last time. We're ready now. We're gonna keep all the audio in. Just you wait, you fuckers. Mr. Davies has abandoned us. He abandoned all hope. And now the world is ruled by a cruel man by the name of Stephen Moffat.
I have no words.
So true, so true.
I miss him. I miss him a lot.
This is my boy Moffat's first season. This is Matt Smith's first season. And it only gets worse from here. Much like Davies in his first season. Until he hit an older gentleman who has things coming out of his head.
It's true.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Any opening thoughts?
Yeah, around this time is when I, from the transition from Davies to Moffat is when I sort of I tried to keep up with Doctor Who, and I did make it all the way to Capaldi, Mr. Pacaldi. I did make it all the way there as well, but something happened. I don't know. My brain stopped working. My brain stopped working. I was exiting that impressionable phase of my life. So I sort of blocked out a lot of Moffat era Doctor Who. It didn't leave as deep as an impression, which is probably one of the biggest reasons why I still prefer Davies era. But this season wasn't bad. It had good things. Yeah,
I mentioned it last time. I think it was about 5th grade. My neighbor told me to watch the show. And gee, I don't know. Netflix would not have been out yet, so I don't know what the fuck I watched it on.
Did he have a DVD set?
He might have, yeah. I can't remember.
Did you set up the recording?
I might have. Yeah. I don't know. Somehow, I watched those first 4 series, and I liked them a lot. And then I didn't quite catch series 5 live, but when I finished 4, it was in the transition process to be put onto DVD or streaming, so I was waiting for it. Series 6 is where I started DVRing it. So
I think that's the same for me.
Yeah, so opposite of you, this is what the nostalgia for me. When I think of Doctor Who, when I watched it as a kid, it was Matt Smith and Karen Gillan, Moffat having a moment. So I have the nostalgia for 5 through 7, whether they're good or not. That's where mine lies.
I was also blocking it out of my memory because of how much I'm appalled by Amy, the worst companion ever.
As a kid, I liked Amy. Now, I guess we'll see if it changes. But no, I'm not a real big fan. I still really like Matt Smith a lot. It just kind of reminded me that he started off really, really well, and I'm pretty sure he goes downhill.
Yeah, I liked him this season. The more I saw of him, the more I liked him. That's usually how it is with new doctors.
Yeah, but it kind of takes a while to warm up.
Right. But I don't really see him getting much better after this.
Yeah. He what I really like about him is he plays up the old man thing more than anyone else.
Well, yeah, he really feels like an old man trapped in a young man's body.
And he was the youngest person to play the Doctor, so I think that's really important that he pulls that so that you do feel a kind of continuity. He still almost has Tennant's ego.
Yeah.
It kind of fades as the series goes along, but he still gets angry at people. He's still a really dick. He's a dick to everyone.
Yeah, well...
He just looks like less of a dick, so you don't take it as hard. Because he's smiling as he calls you fat or whatever.
I sort of see it. I mean, it might be too early to mention this now, but I'm going to do it anyways. I sort of see it actually as he is really mean.
Yeah.
And that is him. That's still his personality.
Right.
But I actually find that he's pretty he tries to do what's right. And then, I mean, all the doctors do,
right?
But it's just, I feel that the most with him. Capaldi, it's like he is a grumpy old man, but deep down he's really sweet.
Right.
And then
it's
with
just
Tenet,
the facade.
Yeah, and then with Tenet, it's like he is trying to be this very likable,
quirky
person on the outside, but inside
yeah.
he's actually pretty messed up.
Right.
But we get some deeper aspects of that, more interesting aspects of that with Smith.
Yeah.
Even in the season.
Yeah. And because that's kind of the arc in New Who that I really like, is when you meet Christopher Eccleston, he's just come out of the Time War. He is still in war hero mode. He's
angry.
Kill Rose and kill all the Daleks. He's like a very angry person. And then Tennant hides it better, but he still has that edge, that ego coming out of him.
Oh, yeah.
And then Smith, I think, is him finally kind of overcoming that, learning to let go of the Time War and all that. And we'll get that in the 50th anniversary. That's kind of the end of that little arc there. Then Peter Capaldi comes around and goes, "Where'd I get this face?" You go, "Oh, please, Mr. Moffat, please, no more."
Well, they only had 10 actors at the BBC, so they had to reuse them.
But they had to reuse Karen Gillan too from the same episode.
They were just sifting through old episodes. They're like, who can we get?
That's the only one they have on DVD. So they're like, who can we get?
Yeah.
Pop it in.
Yeah. No, I'm glad they have Capaldi though. He's great.
Yeah, he really is. So I guess we'll jump in. The first episode of this series and of Moffat's run is the 11th Hour. This is a very setup heavy story for both the series arc, for Matt Smith as the Doctor, and just for Moffat's run on the show as well.
He had big shoes to fill.
Yeah, and I think you can tell that pretty clearly. Is he is trying desperately to set up just everything.
Yep.
And sometimes it can get a little jumbled. It's super fast paced. I think it does work for this episode because Matt Smith is so much more mobile and physical, and he can jump around easier.
He's made of rubber.
Yeah, he is actually made of rubber. Yeah.
He's a Nestine.
But yeah, this sets up not only the series arc for this season, but till the end of Matt Smith with all the silence stuff.
Yeah, the fast-paced episodes, just speaking generally, work, I think, better in, moments in the Moffat era, because that's just kind of Moffat's style.
Yeah.
It's very spastic and quick, and I mean, you get
especially
moments
with Matt Smith.
Yeah, you get moments like that with Davies, but it's like that's not really where Davies shines.
No,
I think.
not at all.
He is actually better with the slow burn,
character driven.
But Moffat sort of thrives in the chaotic, schizophrenic ramblings.
For sure.
Yeah,
and that's something I really like about this series too. Something I've complained of in the past is I think sometimes Doctor Who forgets it's a science fiction show. But for the most part, every episode this series, even if it's bad or good, is an interesting kind of sci-fi concept or idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that just gets ramped up as you go through the series. And that's one of the things I really do like about this style. Also, now Doctor Who's in HD. They got better directors and cinematographers, clearly.
Better effects.
Because everything looks very cinematic compared to the Davies era.
Mm-hmm.
I do miss the goofy 2000s lighting of Eccleston, but
no more blue.
Yeah, I don't mind the new one. We talked about the new TARDIS design's a little Willy Wonka cluttered.
Yeah,
looks like a child's drawing.
Yeah,
which I'll speak to at the end. But I'll save that.
I still think, even if this isn't my favorite TARDIS design, they still sort of work.
Yeah,
for each time that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
But I do miss the just ugly,
disgusting,
rundown yellow TARDIS,
decrepit, dirty. Yeah. Anyways, 11th Hour. There's so many fucking stories going on in this one. The first story is Amy Pond. He lands in her backyard. Comes back for her. It's the Madame de Pompadour story again, essentially, but fleshed out a little more.
But he does come back.
He does, yeah.
Before
eventually,
she gets carried out in a casket.
Yeah, out of Versailles.
Yeah.
And then the second story is Prisoner Zero, who you can see out of the corner of your eye, has escaped through the crack in time.
Already Moffat's ramping up the horror.
Yeah.
Prisoner Zero himself, I don't find that scary. It's all the moments leading up to his reveal.
Yeah. Count the doors on this level.
Yeah, right.
1, 2, 3,
they do
4,
that
5,
quite
6.
a lot. That's such a. I mean, they even did it in Davy's era.
It's just an easy writing device.
Yeah.
Right.
If there's
so
why is there this many people? Why
do they have 2 heads?
Why is the clock ticking?
Yeah. Why is the tape still going? Why are there 5 people in the library? Why?
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure Davies did it too. I just don't remember the Davies ones.
It's definitely a Moffat trope.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last story is these kind of intergalactic police are coming to get Prisoner Zero and are going to incinerate the human residents.
He came through a crack in her wall.
Yep.
Which is
important.
The arc.
Yeah.
The season arc.
Yeah. And we only get alluded to this in this one, but Moffat is a sick man. Amy's entire family was erased from time.
Yeah. They don't really directly address it all that much until the finale, which makes sense. That it's just like, it's really strange that this little girl is all alone in this big house. Mm-hmm. And I think they do the pacing of that pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it is always kind of in the back of your head watching this.
It's always
season.
In the corner of your eye.
Always, always 6 doors in this floor.
Yeah. So we meet Rory here too. At the end, he comes back again. 2 years have passed, I think, or something like that.
Yep.
And she's about to get married, and she runs away. She's the literal runaway bride this time, unlike the other redhead who was the runaway bride.
Like the girl that doesn't make any sense.
The girl who waited. The girl who doesn't make sense.
The impossible girl. Yeah.
Please, Moffat.
He loves his titles. He loves his titles.
He does. There's no ducks in the duck pond.
So we sort of like cleaned Moffat's dirty laundry, sort of did his work for him in the way that, you sort of can connect Pond. Her last name is Pond. There's no ducks in the duck pond. There's no one in the pond house. Yeah, so I don't know. If you make that connection, it does work, but he doesn't really communicate that himself very well.
On a literal level, something with cracks in time, I don't know, whatever. Prisoner Zero says silence will fall and the Pandorica will open, and then goes and then the episode ends.
Yeah, Amy runs away. She's the runaway bride.
Yeah.
Any doctor doesn't know. And what's next? Oh wait, we got notes.
Yeah. The production value whiplash.
Yeah.
Just the opening shot
too.
Difference. Yeah. Policewoman red herring is kind of dumb when she keeps trying to call for backup.
I think so. It makes for a quirky writing moment where it's like, fine. Oh, we got backup. Oh, we don't got backup.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Him sensually rubbing the screwdriver when he's tied up. This next note just says, "Please, Mr. Moffat."
That's every episode.
Grabs her hand, run.
He does it
every time. Duck Pond. Yep. Doctor Who and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
I'll take credit for that one.
Yeah, that's you. Olivia Colman's in this episode for 2 seconds. There's a couple of pretty famous British actors that show up in this series and series going forward. Just kind of interesting. I'll fix that soon. Because Amy goes, "I'm not a child anymore. I grew up." And then Matt Smith just goes, "I'll soon fix that."
Oh, no.
Please, Mr. Smith, stop.
We've also established that Child Amy is the best Amy.
Yeah, Child Amy is a much better companion.
Much better actress. No, I don't know. She is a good actress, though.
She does have a good actress. I love that opening scene when she's cooking him all the food.
Yep.
Yogurt. Yogurt's disgusting. I hate yogurt. That's like approaching too quirky, but he mellows out, so it's all right.
It also works as a plot device when she gives him the apple and carves a face into it, and he travels forward in time. And
this is what I mean when all the sci-fi stuff. all of Moffat seasons are, as I said to you, time travel seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, but at the same time, they can fall apart so easily.
It's hard to do time travel.
Yeah. And I think this season holds it together the best. And I love that Amy Pond storyline of him being her imaginary friend.
And everyone thinking she's a freak.
Because of the time travel, the time
6
jumps.
Therapists or whatever.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I think I like this episode much more than you. I'd give it a 9 for me.
I don't think it was bad.
I didn't put in the notes, but the little Sherlock moment where he goes, "Let me look around."
Yeah, that gave me, as soon as I saw it, that gave me major Sherlock Mind Palace vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
But Sherlock hadn't started at this point, so.
Right, yeah. And Moffat created it, so what a surprise. Yeah.
He's ripping off himself.
Again.
He can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a 9 out of 10 for me. I really like this episode. And then for Amy's first foyer in the TARDIS is to Britain on a spaceship in The Beast Below.
Oh, yeah. The episode I like better than 11th Hour.
Yeah, it's a little spooky episode. We get a cold open where a child gets murdered for bad grades.
They bring him back because Moffat
back,
can't.
He kills the adults.
It works.
Yeah,
it works as a plot device. So I guess I'll give him a pass.
Yeah, this is kind of just a slow build mystery episode on
right. It's really the last revelation of the mystery that makes this episode.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think they hammer it in a little too much. How I think it's all perfectly handled, and then there's that great shot of Matt Smith and Amy looking out onto the city, and she has to go, "How did I know?" Well, when you're really old and you see a crying child and they have to do flashbacks, I'm like, okay, I get it. You're going a bit far. But.
I don't remember the flashbacks, but I think they needed to. It's Moffat. He wanted to draw the parallel between the star whale and the Doctor.
Yeah, and I like the parallel. I just think they do hammer it in a bit too much. But it's whatever. It's fine. There's not a whole lot I have to say about this episode. It's just a really solid, again, interesting science fiction idea. The democracy vote forget button is a really interesting idea.
Protest or forget.
Yeah, the parallel between the Doctor and the whale's good. Amy's actually, I think, really good in this episode.
She is.
She does not get better.
Right.
This is kind of her best moment.
This really is. She's she sees one of the sort of antibodies of the whale, these weird parasitic tail things, and it's right behind the child and has the chance to kill it, and it doesn't. And
it kind of comforts the child.
Right, and they, before that, it established that it doesn't eat the children; it only eats the human or the adults, and that's and it's presumably out of necessity.
It needs to eat
or it'll starve. Yeah. So
again, Mr. Moffat just being
it's messed
sick,
up.
Cruel,
It's really messed up. But it's really good.
Yeah, and that opening is great when Amy's in the TARDIS and she goes, "What are you going to do about that crying little girl?" And he just appears on the screen. He went out. That's a lot of fun. Matt Smith's, again, great in this episode. He's kind of turned down the quirky a bit. And he's settling into
and he's like, role. I'm going to make this whale brain dead so it doesn't feel itself being tortured for all eternity.
He's like, that's like a Tenet moment almost. You can kind of see him slipping back a little bit.
Right.
My notes here are Dark City. Like I said, when we watched the episode, I swear every season I have to put Dark City in the notes somewhere because I guess everything reminds me of Dark City. And then how are they able to film in Chicago?
So true.
How'd they do it? This is a 9 out of 10. Again, great episode. Great episode. Great little sci-fi idea. And then Stephen Moffat wrote two of my best episodes. Bring in Mark Gatiss. Bring him in.
Bring him in. Oh boy.
And he decides to bring Winston Churchill in. Bring the Daleks in.
Yeah. Give the Daleks an updated look.
The first half of this episode, I am on board all the way. I think it would have been a 6.
Matt Smith goes off.
Yeah,
he's just smacking the Daleks.
Yeah. And then
you're my enemy.
And then they start flying through space with
old
airplanes,
old fighter planes.
And then they save the robot with love. And I go, okay, you've lost me. I'm gone.
Okay, here's the thing. granted, we did admit that this is probably Gatius's best script that we've seen.
Yeah, I don't. It's
so not tough. Great, but I think it's
script-wise, yeah, it's probably his best. It has themes, it has ideas going.
And I actually didn't mind the using emotion to stop the android from blowing up a nuclear explosion.
Right, and
as
again,
much as I thought I would.
If I'm going to come in and justify like I did with Series 3, that almost parallels Rory and his emotions when he's in Auton in the finale. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah. I don't hate it, but
I
by that point, I'm just so gone.
Here's the thing. Here's what did it for me is because the doctor is like yelling at him, like, remember the war, like, remember how horrible it was.
Remember how many children died. And he's
like, the pain, it hurts, doctor, and it's not working. Yeah. And it's like, and then Amy comes in, and she's like, love.
And then he's like, Gah!
Yeah. No, I don't know. I thought the writing there was pretty good.
It's not terrible.
It felt, I don't know. It felt like it had a lot of humanity.
Yeah, I will agree. And then the moment after that is really good too, where Matt Smith goes, "I'm coming back in 6 minutes, and you just wait here. I'm gonna come disassemble you."
It was definitely not as aggressive as that because he was joking. But yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of messed up. The dude's just like the whole.
He's like, fine, I'll wait here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what he brings it up. He's like, you'll have to disassemble me now, won't you? Anyway.
Yeah. I think the Winston Churchill casting is really good.
Yeah, that's definitely Winston Churchill.
It is, yeah. I don't like the new Daleks that much.
I'm fine with them.
They're almost too silly.
They feel,
and they don't show up after this series again, so it's fine. It's whatever.
They feel like something they would do to them in like the 80s, though.
Yeah, maybe.
I kind of like their design.
Maybe he tries to blow him up with a little jelly donut.
Right.
That's good.
Only the new Daleks were smart enough to see that.
Yeah.
The old ones are like, oh god.
Mark Gatiss. Why did Winston Churchill call? Oh, never mind. That was a month ago. And then Willy Wonka ass looking TARDIS. Yeah, this is a 4 out of 10 for me. I don't hate it, but the last half definitely just demolishes.
I'd give it
this
a
episode.
5 just for being boring.
Yeah, and it does get kind of boring.
The fighter pilot thing doesn't last very long, so
right. Yeah. But anyways, Moffat went, "Oh, Mr. Gatiss got to come make a bad episode. I guess it's my turn." And he decides to, two fucking episodes into his series, he decides to just blow his load on everyone.
He had to bring River's song back, and he ruins the best fucking idea he's ever had.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with this episode. People really like this episode, and we were joking it's aliens.
No, it literally is.
And then I saw an interview of Stephen Moffat going, this is kind of like Aliens if the first one was Alien. At least he's self-aware.
What, assuming that Aliens is good?
I guess,
yeah. Because everyone thinks Aliens is good.
But they're wrong.
Exactly. Because it ruins a great concept.
There is a lot of good and a lot of bad in these episodes. And it's hard to sort them apart.
Well, I see it as everything with the crack in time is very good.
Yeah, I agree.
And of course he had to innovate on the Angels.
Yeah.
So I'm not even necessarily criticizing what he innovated on them with. It's just what he did with them physically in the episode.
Yeah.
Like what he went back. Well, I mean, that's more so in the second part, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, So the first part is Time of the Angels.
Hello, sweetie.
This starts by immediately reestablishing just how much vehement hatred I have for River Song. I actually really like the idea of her defacing stuff that she'll know he'll eventually encounter. Because that's just an interesting little time travel bit.
Right.
But when it's her and she goes, hello, sweetie. I'm like, I want to die. I wish I were dead.
Mm-hmm.
So she is working with a church that is attempting to recover an angel that crashed into the Byzantium.
It's well, church is a loose term. It's like a holy army.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is cool.
And then it's an interesting.
But again,
idea.
it's aliens.
Yeah, it is. It literally is. Yeah. There is a couple of good little bits in here. I don't know how I feel about the whole image of the angel becoming an angel, but I think the resolution of the idea that if the image of an angel is in your head, that can
there's an angel
materialize. I think that's great.
It is pretty scary,
but it kind of falls through a little bit.
Yeah,
especially in the opening with Amy trapped in the little I don't know, video room, and the angel projects itself out.
It's just okay. So here's my problem. He's ruining the angels right off the bat by being like. So River's setting up the stage by being like, "There's something on this ship. You won't survive," and they didn't. So it's like, what's on this ship? There's something dangerous. Now this military is involved, and then Moffat just has to go and write. Ever heard of the Weeping Angels? That thing that I wrote in Blink. Here's the thing. It was never meant to be this. They were always meant to just be this vague sort of one-off thing.
Right.
And the fact that it become this like huge world-ending threat instead of just this sort of isolated, scary entity ruins them. It is alien versus aliens.
Right.
Once you start blasting them away and you get a whole room full of them, they're no longer scary. And it even doesn't even really make sense on his own accord how they would travel in such a group, such a wave, rather than like no more than 4, because the whole solution to them coming after the Nightingale and whatever in Blink was they ended up fooling them to look at each other because they're a cursed race. They're cursed. They're a cursed species. I would assume that they would mostly travel alone because if they look at each other, they're doomed. They're locked forever.
Right. Yeah. And the story is there's one angel who intentionally crashes the ship here because this is where the people of this world kind of sealed the angels in, took their power, whatever. It's not
something like that
hugely addressed. But these are like dying angels, and this one is coming to rescue them, essentially.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know, using the power of the...
Right, and he refuels them from the crass Byzantium core, is what they drain power to grow in strength.
Right, or is it the crack? Is it because the crack is on the ship? Is that what it's using?
That might be it.
I can't remember which one is which.
Either. I think it might just be both.
It's basically both. I think because the crack is on the ship.
I think they start with the Byzantium, then they find the crack.
At this point, we're combining one in the first and second part.
Yeah. Well, we'll kind of jump back and forth, but I think then they go to the crack and realize they can't control it.
Right.
And
I'm not opposed to that being their Deus Ex. It makes sense.
Right. It's like we talked about with the Daleks. Once you have a whole fleet of them, you're fucked. You need a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. It's just the fact that it's the angels. They were such a cool idea. And the thing is, you could use the cinematography to add to their, their creepiness, their threat value, because they can only move when they're not seen.
Right.
So when the screen isn't on
we talked about
them,
this in Blink.
Yeah. And we'll talk about how it completely throws that out of the window in the second part.
Right. And it's also just hugely problematic to the lore as well, because they're stone when you look at them, but presumably they're not stone.
That's one of my points.
When you don't look at them.
So they move. They move in the second part. You literally see them move as a statue. Amy's walking around with her eyes closed. They don't know that she can't see yet, but they start to catch on, and they start to turn their heads at her. And it's like, but that's the thing. The doctor says in Blink, like, they're quantum locked when they're seen. Right. They turn to stone. Yeah. And it's like, okay, one, you're ruining what they are. You want to. They're a clever thing. They're a clever, low effort, creepy monster that you don't have to have move on screen. They only move when you get shit obstructing the screen or cuts.
Yeah.
And then also on top of that, when there's a whole army of them in the fucking forest, you cannot tell me that they're not able to see each other. And they would have been locked. And there are several points. So there's a point in the second part where one puts like the army commander in a headlock, and the doctor's looking at him and talking with him, and he's like, they're saying goodbye. The military dude's fucked.
Right.
And the doctor, it's the only angel around, and the doctor's the one watching him because the dude has its back to the angel. You straight up see Matt Smith blink as clear as day. It's like they're just, what? Did they just not even care?
Yeah.
How did that get past editing?
Just didn't care.
They just straight up don't even care about their own rules anymore.
Right.
That's why these two parts like are ruined for me.
Right. And I will step in here. I really disliked seeing them move as well. But I will try to make a case here in saying, here's the best I can do. They don't know Amy cannot see it first, so they lock by assumption.
Right.
So I will make the argument that it's possible when we see them moving, that's them coming out of the quantum lock because they're figuring it out.
I
don't like it either.
Yeah.
But it's maybe something.
I thought about that too, and and I could accept that, but even with that maybe being the case, it still ruins it.
Right.
It still ruins the whole fact that it's like they're only angels when you see them.
Right.
They're only statues when you see them.
You don't know what they look like when you look
exactly.
away.
Maybe it's not even you can't even comprehend it.
It's because they move super fast, so it's entirely possible they're
faster than
just something
a second,
indescribable.
Exactly. That was part of the appeal, part of the allure.
Right.
Same with the xenomorph and Alien. Drawing this analogy, it's so alien. You don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the plot.
And the blinking thing I think is just lazy directing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame Moffat for that. I'm sure in the script it didn't say, and Matt Smith blinks while he's having the conversation.
But somebody should have
been there to catch that.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So I'll blame just the whole production crew for that. Back to the first part, we get another one of those Moffat stingers. Looking around the room, the people of this planet had two heads, so why did these statues only have one?
Yeah, it is a cool set.
The set.
I like the ship
great.
over this cavern in the mountain falling apart, and meanwhile this is like this civilization, this tomb full of statues, but they're angels.
Yeah. And then it ends with Matt Smith grabbing a gun, going, "I would never," shooting a gravity globe.
Yeah, we get here's one of the angel improvements that I don't much care for. I think it was just meant to get some script writing things along the way. The angel was able to communicate with him over the radio.
Yeah,
I guess that's the only way they could have done it.
Right, because this episode, to its credit, uses a lot of stuff Moffat had set up earlier. That's the same data bank from Silence in the Library. So the angel has hijacked that and is using the dying person's
remaining brain waves
to communicate, which is such a sick and twisted concept.
It is,
especially when he has that line. He goes, "You told me I wouldn't be scared, sir, but I died scared and alone."
Yeah, it's just taunting him.
Yikes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. That's kind of dumb. And then the angels snapping necks, I don't mind that much because it's implied it's the ones that are not full power, so they can't times out.
Right, and more of the goal of them. I don't mind that either. And more of the goal of the angel that crashed the ship is just to revive these current angels with the time and whatever.
Right. And I don't think we ever see him snap people's necks. I think it's the ones coming back.
Yep.
So that's fine. Whatever. Fuck it. I guess I'll go on my notes here. Moffat ruins everything.
He really does.
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt here because I don't know any of this is true or not. I don't want to say I guarantee, but I believe the BBC probably went, "Yeah, you wrote that Weeping Angel episode. Bring him back. We're giving you the series. Bring him back." He didn't need to bring back River Song in this one. I will entirely blame him for that. But I
was gonna say you can say that, but he brings back River Song,
right?
So he's clearly just really excited to show off, basically show off, to the previous audience that he's
which is understandable. He's still trying to make the impression, but it is just a little ham-fisted. Next note is Alien versus Aliens, according to Moffat, literally.
Yeah.
And then the final note, Russell T. Davies remarked that he loved this two-parter and thought it was the perfect Doctor Who movie.
He would. He would say that. That fucking asshole. He's just saying that because he's fat and happy after pocketing so much of that specials money. He just doesn't even care. He's like, yeah, I'll give him my blessing. Who gives this shit?
I loved it.
Yeah, didn't even watch it.
Yeah, this one's problematic for me. It's a 6 out of 10 for me because there is stuff that I like, but there is a lot I don't like. But I don't think it's a bad episode per se, this first one.
It is definitely the second part where they completely ruin them,
right,
by having them move.
Yeah, and I'll move. We can move on to the second part now. So it starts with them going into the ship. The gravity's wonky at first.
I'll say actually that the second part has better plot devices. It has more interesting things going on with the crack in the wall and all that. And it is at the same time the one that ruins the Angels even further.
Yeah. The first one I just kind of don't like because it's kind of just boring to me, I guess. And River Song pisses me off.
Right.
The second part is the one where I'm conflicted because there is a lot of stuff I really like. And then there's so much stuff that I go, why? Why did you do this?
Yeah.
So yeah, they open the doors, they come into the ship, whatever. I like the idea of the oxygen farm. There's just a little forest in the ship.
Cool change of scenery.
It's a good little change. The crack in the wall ends up being here. One of the saving graces of this episode, in my opinion, is when Matt Smith comes back from the finale
and talks
to comfort Amy.
Yeah.
And have her remember. Yeah. And obviously that's better in retrospect than it is in the episode. So you're like, oh, he just came back.
Yeah, I remembered. And that's why I liked it as much as I did.
Yeah.
I do like the whole Amy counting down thing.
6.
Yeah. It's just like it's probably one of those small little ideas that he like probably maybe wanted to have done like a whole episode with.
Yeah, probably.
But then it's like he's like, I don't have time. I just got to throw it in there somewhere, you know.
I'm 5.
Yeah. But it's the angel in her head, just trying to mess with the doctor and make her scared.
Yeah, that's another thing I really love. And then the whole idea too that there's an image in her head, and so any minute if they look away and she opens her eyes, just the angel arm could just blast through.
Yeah,
her head.
It's like, what would that look like? Would it just be there's an angel and then there's a bunch of Amy viscera on the ground? Yeah. Like, holy shit.
Jeez, Mr. Moffat.
Like some things he did right, and then he also completely ruined it at the same time.
Yeah. And then the crack stuff is really good. Amy's a time traveler, so in some cases she can see. Yeah, exactly. So the guy's just like, I didn't send anyone over there. I'm the only one here.
All the soldiers disappearing.
Yep.
I like their titles. Going back to that it's a church. They're
Father,
like, Archbishop and cleric. Yeah.
And then even with the bad editing, I do like Matt Smith's little speech with the guy who's in the headlock there.
Yeah.
The guy's basically like, you can't save me. He's like, just go.
Yeah.
And then the way to solve both the crack and the angels.
He says, the doctor's like, I would have liked to have known you more or whatever. And the dude's like, you've known me at my best. And it's like kind of implying that it's like this army's done some
bad stuff. Yeah. And then I like the way they resolve the crack in the angels. Basically, the only way to shut a crack in time is to have a complex time anomaly that I guess can seal it.
It's almost like using a reaction to stop another reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what those are called, but
and the angels are obviously complex time entities. They feed on time energy.
Yep.
So throwing a whole army of them into the crack seals it up.
Yeah. That's a good bit of sci-fi.
And then, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean with this series is there's so many little good sci-fi ideas.
Yeah.
And then I remember turning to you and going, you might not like it, but you can't argue this is a bad episode. And then, oh boy, the doctor takes Amy home to her night before her wedding, and she puts the moves on him. And I think we both just fucking lost our minds.
I can't talk about this. I'll get in trouble. I really don't have anything other to say than that I hate it.
Yeah, this is, I think, why we both really dislike Amy.
It's because she's a bit of
she's promiscuous.
A bit of a tramp, as they say. With Rose, here's why I give it a pass, is because Rose, it felt more innocent. It was like an innocent infatuation. It's like coming from the point
and you could argue by the time they are a real romantic couple in series 2, Mickey's already gone. He's not in a relationship with her anymore.
She did have other boyfriends, but Amy comes on incredibly strong, and I'll put that at the fault of Moffat. Moffat's writing.
Yes.
It's like Amy could have been she could have been an okay companion.
Right. Moffat writes with women with one hand.
Yeah. I apparently had no idea that was an inside joke before making that conclusion myself.
Yeah. It's also the night before her wedding day.
I know. It's it makes me, because here's the thing. It's like, we're not going to go off on this whole thing about feminism or whores or anything like that. It's mostly like a question of like loyalty. It sort of proves the kind of person she is.
Right.
That she's willing to just throw out Rory. Right. It's like, that's fucked up. It makes you feel bad for Rory. It makes you like her less. And then they just
fucking hammer in that Rory shit, man.
I know. In the next episode, it's like the doctor's trying to... It's meant to be comedic.
Yes.
It's like the doctor's trying to fix the relationship, and they're just hammering in that Rory's incompetent.
I won't give this a pass, but I will attempt to justify it in saying that it gives Amy the arc of coming to accept Rory, accept her wedding and all that.
Right.
So there is a reason it's there, but I really, really don't like it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's obnoxious.
Anyways, here's my notes. Ha ha ha. 6. People unexisting. Very cool. The angels move. Oh God, no.
Yeah.
River song expression. I guess she made a funny face or something. And then the final note. Whore time. Dr. Whoer.
That's good. That's good.
I'll give you a little insight. This episode was an 8, and then that happened, and now it's a 7 for me. It let me down quite a bit. I could overlook the angels moving, but that was a bit much for me.
You don't like the past 3 episodes. You don't want me to rate anything.
Yeah,
because it's not going to be a good time.
Yeah. But anyways, the doctor in the next episode tries to fix their relationship. He shows up to Rory's bachelor party in a cake.
It was an amusing cold open.
It's a little good.
It's just Matt Smith's face.
Yeah,
it's like he sells it.
I think he's probably one of the best comedic doctors. The way he sells his lines is so funny.
Yeah, his performance is really good.
Yeah. So anyways, they go to Venice, and I think the first half of this episode had me pretty well. There were a couple really good moments, like the vampires in the mirror.
But it doesn't
He keeps
end.
looking back. Yeah. The bit where the boatman's changed shirts with Rory.
Yeah, they have Rory's bachelor shirt on.
And then it just goes to shit.
Yeah, this episode feels like it never ends.
Yeah, it feels so long.
Was it actually not even
No,
longer?
It was about 6 minutes longer.
But it feels
so brutal.
It feels like it ends 20 times.
Yeah.
Return of the King moment.
Yeah, but not in the good.
Not in a good way.
Yeah.
Every ending is worse than the last.
There's just very little in this episode. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's fine at the beginning, and then it just kind of gets really boring, and then it just keeps going.
Vampire babes,
yeah. Vampire fish people.
Yeah, they're fish people.
They're not allowed to exist. He's going to genocide them because they just wanted one city. I don't know. Thoughts? Should I just read the notes?
I don't have any thoughts anymore. There's a dick joke.
Yeah, it's in here. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Haha. Classic. Matt Smith says that to something. I don't know what it is. Mine is bigger than yours.
Yep.
Scooby-Doo door. There's a Scooby-Doo door. Somewhere. The healing screwdriver, apparently.
Does he heal someone with his screwdriver?
Guess so.
This
feels so long. That's it.
Yeah. Then we died.
Yeah. This is probably a 3 out of 10 for me, because the first half I would genuinely maybe give a 6, and then it just fucking falls off so hard.
Oh, the ending of him climbing up the castle tower or whatever feels very Idiot's Lantern.
It did, yeah. That's what it was reminding me of too.
It was written by the same person, was it not?
No, Idiot's Lantern was Mark Gatiss.
Okay.
This was Toby Whitehouse, who wrote.
Oh yeah.
He wrote. What did he write? I looked this up before and I forgot. It was not a good episode, but
I'll take your word for it.
Please continue talking while I look at this.
So, Vampires of Venice. Skip it. They tied us over.
School reunion.
Okay.
So we wrote the other incredibly stupid episode,
but it was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, from that real big dip, we get Amy's Choice.
And this is how they tied us over from the next shit 2-parter after this.
Yeah.
If there was no Amy's Choice in between,
we'd be
done. A bad time. It would be a bad time.
And this is not the episode that saves Amy in my eyes, but it's the episode that proves Amy could maybe redeem herself.
It does give me a better opinion of her by the end of it.
So this is... it was all a dream episode, but done really well.
Mm-hmm. We like dreams, don't we, folks?
David and I like dreams.
We like dreams, very strange dream-like sequences. Probably, arguably, my favorite part. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but of The Sopranos would be the dream sequences.
Yeah.
So
this one, they have to choose between two worlds. One where old people are attacking pregnant Amy.
But it's a real species of old people. So it could be the real world.
Or a world where the TARDIS is crashing into a cold sun.
Which is another cool sci-fi concept.
Yeah. There's a lot of, again, just great.
And again, they don't know whether or not that's real. The Doctor's like, it could be. It could happen.
So the Dream Lord shows up, played by, I think, Toby Jones was the guy who did it.
So really? I thought Toby Jones wrote an episode.
No, I think he's that guy.
That's Toby Jones.
I think so.
He's a good cast.
He's great.
He is really all great. His writing is great.
His one-liners are so fucking good.
It's very good.
This is where we get the famous Matt Smith line, benches, what will they think of next?
I like the awkward homey life that is in the supposed future of Amy and Rory. They're small town people. Rory's loving it. He wants that to be the real world. They have to choose one or the other, but if they choose wrong, they could die. And Amy's not feeling it. She'd rather be in the TARDIS with the Doctor.
Right.
So that's hence Amy's Choice.
Right. And then I love the visual, just the old people with like a lawnmower and stuff trying to break into the house.
Very good. That's by the end there of them all breaking into the house, you were like, this is doing it for me.
This is doing it for me.
Yeah. What was doing it for me is what I remember what happens to Rory. He dies, and then Amy, which is the main reason why she is redeemed mostly, or partly after this episode, she's like, time to die. Yeah. Like Rory's dead, and she's like, I didn't know before, but I know now.
Yeah, and that line there is so brutal. You watch him turn to ash, and she just turns to the Doctor and goes, "Bring him back. You save everyone, bring him back."
He's
and
like,
the Doctor's like, "Not always."
He's like, she's like, then what's the point of you?
Yeah. You're like,
oh. Doctor getting dunked on. They're always the best. They're always the best episodes.
Unless it's River Song.
Yeah. That's different. That's girl boss.
Right. We didn't mention the parking brake thing, so we'll just skip over it.
Oh God, no. Please. Should we?
No. We'll mention it in Big Bang because that's why she blows up the TARDIS. She left the parking brake
If we remember. I'll just say that's another thing where it's like one of those...
Moffat has to ruin something.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what the Moffat ruins everything was in response to.
Yes.
Because, I liked your theory on that, is it's kind of like the TARDIS breathing as it lands.
Well, they would say that.
Yeah.
They would even... I'm pretty sure they used those words at one point.
Yeah. And it's such an interesting... anyways, whatever.
And Matt Smith does a funny impression.
Yeah. Amy's Choice ends with Amy killing herself.
And then the Doctor killing them. Because both worlds were a dream.
That's when the Big Bang happened. Yeah. That's when the TARDIS blew up.
He killed them. He was just wrong.
I At first, when I was watching this, I was disappointed because I liked the idea that the Dream Lord just came from nowhere.
Yeah.
It was
Could
just
you
something
imagine?
random.
It was never explained.
But then they explain it as, oh, Matt Smith's so happy-go-lucky, but he still has this cruel, dark side
because
to him.
he inhaled some strange sci-fi pollen that
Yeah.
put them to sleep, and
neuro pollen,
and it like latched onto his psychology and his memory the most. He has the most imagination or whatever,
Yeah.
and like created those worlds, those scenarios,
Yeah.
and the Dream Master, which is essentially him.
Yeah.
It's like this dark side of him. So their explanation of it, their write-in for it, is actually really interesting because it brings up this whole concept of the Doctor as a very dark individual.
Right. And I said to you, I love that last shot where they pan down from him to his reflection.
Yeah.
And it's just silence.
Yeah.
And it's like, next time.
Yeah. Yeah. They sort of missed an opportunity to, because he straight up tells them that it was like, oh, it was basically me.
Yeah.
And then
and they're like, oh, okay.
They kind of, Amy and Rory kind of get over it. They're like, oh, you almost killed us. Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still think I would have liked it more if they just left it completely unexplained, but I don't mind that. I think it establishes.
Think about it. Were they ever actually in any danger? Because, well, I suppose if the TARDIS was moving in real life,
I think it was.
They could have been in danger, but they weren't careening towards a cold sun. So if they would have died from hypothermia,
they probably would have been fine. Yeah.
Then they would have woken up anyways. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's still messed up.
Anyway.
Good episode. Probably my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah, and that ending is great too, where Matt Smith goes, Rory, pretty soon a very important question's going to occur to you. He's like, wait a minute, how'd you know that one was a dream? And they're like, we didn't.
Yeah,
and he goes,
I don't like that all that much. I think they dwell on it a little too much.
Yeah, maybe.
They could have. They in fact, I'm fine with them communicating to Rory and getting a reaction out of Rory from that, but they could have done it without explicitly saying, without Amy being like, oh, we drove the van into the fucking house. It's like, yeah, we saw it. You don't have to tell us.
Right.
You could just you could just have Rory understands that you're implying you killed yourselves.
Did they actually say that? I thought she just said...
No, she says it. She's like, you died, Mrs. Pocket got you. Her accent comes through very harsh there, so I remember that line. And then she's like, we drove the van into the whatever.
I thought she said, Mrs. Pocket got you.
Yeah.
And then...
No, she says we drove the van into the whatever, into the house.
Interesting.
That's what she says.
The cat's crying. Anyways. David Lynch? This is the most Lynch we'll ever get.
Yeah, the editing, the transition between the dreams.
Yeah.
It's a little Lynchy.
Dream Lord Who? That's our new series we're starting with Toby. The reverse keyboard. Very good.
Oh, yeah.
The transition, yeah. Morning. I don't know what that means.
Morning.
Great directing. That directing in this episode is fantastic. Then what is the point of you?
Oof.
The score in this episode, as always, our boy Murray knocking it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Ending a little letdown for me. Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah.
That's what the note says.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'd give this a 10 out of 10. Big fan.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then they go, oh, we wrote a classic episode. Bring in Chris Chibnall. Bring him back.
Can't you not wait until this is every episode for 3 seasons?
Oh, good lord.
Can't you not wait?
At least it's better than 42. The first one is The Hungry Earth. This
Bluegrass.
It makes me hate this episode more in retrospective because I thought they explained the future Amy Rory thing. But they really don't.
They don't. They don't.
They don't. No.
Because if you're thinking about their very end, their demise when they're taken by the angels later on, and
right, they wouldn't be there.
They wouldn't be there.
Yeah. And you could argue, time is rewritten, angels feed on time energy potential, blah blah blah.
But they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's dumb. It's a good idea.
It works within the episode, and that's it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it does make a pretty hard impact when Rory is taken and it's just Amy and she doesn't remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, this first part, they arrive. They go to the drill. Stuff happens.
Fucking
Rory
look at this nice English family. I hope nothing bad happens to him.
Rory gets recruited as a policeman. Big Dome shows up. It goes dark. They capture Silurian. And then the episode ends, I guess. I don't care. I really don't care.
It's really boring.
Yeah, this first part's better for me.
Really?
Yeah. The second part killed me. It genuinely killed me.
The second part is worse, but it kept my focus more. It kept my interest more.
See, I liked all the stuff Rory was doing in this. That's what kind of saved it for me, is this little policeman endeavor. I didn't give a
that lasts all of 2 scenes.
No, it's a good little bit of it. I didn't give a shit about Amy and the doctor at the drill when she gets taken. It's like, wow.
That's most of it, though.
Yeah, that is most of it.
Rory being a policeman is like all he does is gets led to a grave, jumps in the grave, and then goes and meets the doctor. And then
the ending, I think, is fine when it goes dark and they're kind of chasing the thing through the dark. They throw him in the van. That stuff's all right. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about this one. They're not even human. I don't know what that's in reference to. Am I talking about British people? I don't know. Tell Rory falls into the ground.
Yeah. Tell Rory nothing.
The Vanishing ? And then Dwemer Ruin in Skyrim. That's where they take Amy.
Yeah, it ends very abruptly, actually.
It does. It's bizarre.
It ends on the establishing shot of the city.
Yeah.
Which, in that one shot, looked very well. It actually looks like they used miniatures.
It almost did, yeah.
But...
And yeah, I actually don't mind the doctor taking... I think she's Indian, the Indian lady, down as kind of a partial companion. Right. I think they have a good little rapport there.
Oh, yeah, she works as, like, the diplomat later.
Yeah.
Amy.
This first episode is a 5. I would maybe rewatch it, and then it loses me.
It'd be a 5.
It loses me. The second part is Cold Blood. This is all in the Silurian city underground. It's kind of about the church versus the military. It's kind of about diplomats between different species.
The doctor's like, this is a flux. Well, the time is in flux. We can rewrite history. The Silurians and humans can share the planet.
Yeah.
Then one of the humans kills their hostage Silurian. And
Yep.
But, I mean, like, that's not okay. You know what was okay? The Silurian scientist cutting into a human being.
Right, he's fine with that. In fact, he encourages it. He goes, "You're such a great scientist. Yep. You're so great." But
this guy is seen as a great guy, and we're supposed to care when the military Silurian commander kills him.
Yeah, but oh lord, a woman kills a Silurian on accident.
They kidnap a child.
Her husband and child.
It's so blatantly one-sided that it doesn't work. It doesn't work as humans are horrible. I'm sorry, it doesn't. The Silurians are like just as much to blame.
Yeah, and I guarantee this is going to be our Chris Chibnall era experience.
It's the whole time we're just it's gonna be stupid, ham-fisted statements like this.
Yeah,
and we're just not gonna have a good time.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a lot to say. I think I'll just read the notes. Good sets. For the most part,
and the makeup on the Silurians.
I think their bases are all pretty good. There's a couple of wonky CG shots, but all the plants and stuff, the underground stuff, is all pretty good.
Yeah.
This is so fucking goofy. Planet of the Apes and Planet of the Apes music.
The music felt very Planet of the Apes at times.
Did Murray Gold know this was Planet of the Apes? I have like 5 notes about Planet of the Apes. And then the last one where they forget to edit the shot in as Rory is disappearing from the memories.
Oh my god, yeah, he gets shot and then he gets taken by the crack, so he's not supposed to ever exist, which they never really explain how he returns. But anyway.
No, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, you just missed it.
Okay. Anyways.
Anyways.
Yeah, he gets shot and then they replay when Amy's trying to remember him.
Yeah.
As she's losing his memory because he's going out of existence. Yeah. They replay the shot of him getting hit with the laser, but it doesn't have the effect in it.
Right.
So it's just the actor
leans over and goes, ah!
It's just the actor having a spasm. It looks really bad.
Yeah, it's not great. But I actually like if he didn't save the Doctor for literally no reason.
Yeah. Through the whole episode, the Doctor had been actually disabling their laser guns with his screwdriver, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's a
He's
screwdriver.
finally using the screwdriver for something that would make sense.
Yeah.
You can disable a regular gun with a regular screwdriver.
Yeah.
So if it's sonic, then you can do it from a distance. Anyways, when the person's about to shoot Rory or the Doctor's about to pull out a screwdriver until Rory impedes him.
Yeah. If it wasn't that dumb, I would really like the Rory death and him fading away.
Right, like him getting taken by the crack, I understand, that's fine. You have to use that in the end of the plot. You just did it poorly because you gave it to Gibnall.
Right. And then the ending is good, as you said, with Amy waving to herself as she's forgotten.
Right.
It's not good in retrospect as a whole.
Just as a continuity thing, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
But it's wibbly wobbly time like wine.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck it. This is a 3 out of 10 for me. This episode's pretty fucking rough.
Damn, that's the first good thing you've said all day. Yeah. It's bad.
It's bad. I think I had it at a 4, and then the ending happened. I went, they're just so fucking lazy. They don't give a shit in this episode.
Well, I almost would rather blame it on Gibnall's oversight, and then nobody.
Yeah, I would say
nobody going back and even remembering. They probably don't even remember that happened by the time they get to. Yeah.
Because Moffat doesn't give a shit about what
he's in his own world.
Yeah.
He's in his own world.
He's having a moment, by himself. So then they decide to once again balance it out, and we get Vincent and the Doctor. Probably, dare I say, the best historical epic or historical of the show. Because very often when they go back and meet historical figures, it is a shit show.
Yeah, I mean, Shakespeare Code wasn't bad.
Yeah, I don't think Shakespeare Code's anywhere close to this, though.
Yeah, none of them had as much to say or anything as profound to say.
And that's something interesting about this one, too. This one doesn't really have those big sci-fi ideas. I think the rest of the series
It's more
does,
about the message.
But it is just an episode unapologetically about depression, essentially, and mental illness. Yeah. Which is pretty interesting.
Because it didn't matter in the end what they did. He still killed himself.
Which is fucking brutal. Yeah. This episode was written by someone who I don't think wrote any other episodes.
Right.
They just kind of wrote this one off and then left. I think his name is Simon Nye, maybe. Let's see. Oh no, this is Richard Curtis.
Yeah, I thought it ended with a C.
Yeah, who wrote the 2 Mr. Bean movies? So
what the fuck? Writes a really brutal Doctor Who episode.
But anyways, we kind of make fun of the opening of this episode because the Doctor and Amy go to the exhibit. The Doctor's being extra nice to her because Rory has just been gooped and she doesn't know.
Gooped. He got slimed. He got Nickelodeon slimed.
Yeah. And Doctor goes, "Look at this picture. What's that in the window? We gotta go."
Yeah, right. It was just kind of spazzy, and
I'm willing to say it's just because he wanted to meet Van Gogh, so he's just gonna make up some goofy excuse.
I still defend my point. I still stand my ground that the thing that he painted in the window, while I admit there is something there, it just looks like nothing.
Yeah.
It just looks like a shadow. It just looks like a few lines, but it turns out to be the grafface.
Right. I think it's honestly just the Doctor making an excuse to go visit.
Yeah, he's just having a moment.
Yeah. So the casting in this episode, again with Winston Churchill, is so good. This guy, I think, is on point for Van Gogh.
Yeah, knocked it out of the park.
The Amy and Vincent have a little fling going on because Rory's gone.
Well, they
reduced to atoms.
Well, they have just like a lighthearted, flirty thing. I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
This is Matt Smith.
In the end, they even say like our children would have had the reddest hair. Yeah.
This is Matt Smith in full idiot mode.
He's really goofy.
He's so goofy in this.
He's like when he's waiting for him to paint the church. He's just like, "Is this how time normally
passes?" Yeah, I don't like the design of the monster all that much.
I'm fine with the design. I think the effects.
The effects let it down. I like the invisible idea.
Right.
And I wish they showed it less. I think.
So in the end, so Van Gogh is basically portrayed as like a loser.
Yeah. Everyone hates
through his
him.
life,
They hate his pictures.
which was probably accurate.
Yeah.
He was a bit of like a layabout, or a bit of a
eccentric weirdo.
Yeah. Nobody liked his paintings. He was like a bum. Which is probably true. And
well, it's true. No one liked his paintings. No one bought them.
Yeah. And he sort of draws the parallel with the monster at the end. The monster is basically just this like scared, out of place, blind creature that just didn't belong here. And that's why it kind of lashed out. And
it was scared,
basically. And Van Gogh draws the parallel between the monster and the people who are scared of him or throwing rocks at him. But I find it's more accurate to say that the monster is almost like him.
Right. I think from a script standpoint, the monster is just a metaphor for depression.
Right.
He's the only one who can see it. It's destroying the people in his life.
Yep.
And that's what this whole episode is about. It's about his kind of debilitating depression.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he definitely misreads the monster at the.
There's a pretty moment after that where they go out and all look at the stars.
Yeah,
and you get to see
that
this.
might be my favorite moment.
Yeah. I probably agree. There's a nice effect on where they sort of transform a actual still of the night sky, and
the stars become starry night.
Yeah, they turn it into starry night.
And yeah, it's really beautiful. And the doctor has a pretty heartfelt line where he goes, "You know, I've my friend, I've been everywhere, but the most amazing thing is to see the world through your eyes." And then they leave him, and he's big sad again. So they decide to take him to the library, the
art gallery.
And we get just a fucking brutal moment of
Van Gogh gets to see that his work actually ends up meaning something.
People, and get
a beautiful speech from the curator.
Yeah, the curator goes, "To me, he's the greatest painter of them all."
And I because he was able to transform his pain.
The curator's moment at the end, where he's like, "Was that Van Gogh?"
Yeah, because Van Gogh hugs him. Yeah.
And then it's even more brutal because Amy goes back and it's like, "Oh, there's gonna be so many pictures, so many."
Yeah, because they take him back.
The doctor just goes, "I don't think so."
Yeah, I almost like that bit of dialogue at the end with the doctor and Amy the most.
Yeah, same. I would
not necessarily the moment, just the dialogue where he's like, you know, life is just a mixture of
bad and
good and bad things, you know,
and bad doesn't spoil the good,
and vice versa.
Yeah.
That's a bit of sanctimony that I don't mind.
Yeah, and I think Matt Smith, more than almost any other doctor, can really deliver those kind of more cheesy lines because he just feels so earnest when he says stuff like that.
Right, because he's mostly mean.
Right. Yeah,
mostly mean.
Yeah. You just feel like he really means what he's saying, and that kind of helps elevate the more goofy dialogue.
Right.
I only got 2 notes here. He says, "I'm with the Department of Art and Fartiness." That's what his psychic papers. And then Bill Nye's in this episode, not the science guy,
the curator.
But the curator. Yeah, is and that guy's in a couple of movies that Richard Curtis wrote, like Love Actually and About Time. So maybe they're pals, I guess. Anyways, this is a 9 out of 10 for me. The first part is a little weak, like Waters of Mars, but then the end just sells me on it.
Yeah. To me, the end of Waters of Mars was a bit more emotionally impactful. I think I
probably like End of Waters of Mars.
And it's interesting because it's really in all just the way they did it, because obviously Van Gogh, that's a real person who really did take their life because of mental illness. Yeah. So it's like, obviously that should be more impactful as opposed to fictional characters. But it's the way they did it, and sort of the fact that it's like it was the doctor's own hubris that caused the people to die in the end of Waters of Mars. But they're separate in that way, so I wouldn't say one is better than the other. Just on a personal level, Waters of Mars got me a little more.
Yeah, I would probably agree. Also, in Waters of Mars, we get to know Adelaide so well.
Right.
Whereas Van Gogh, you might know him, but you probably don't. He's not built up like that in this episode.
Yeah. They both had great casting, but I think they didn't really have to write up Van Gogh all that much.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's just they had to establish that he was like sort of a bum, eccentric, depressed.
But still trying to contribute something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then our good friend Gareth Roberts comes back.
Oh, Gareth.
And delivers his most psychotic script yet with the lodger. I think this episode loses probably 1 to 2 points for me just because James Corden's in it. This is probably the best James Corden we will ever get.
We're not British. We're not fans.
I hate that man with a burning passion.
Not a big fan. He's got an unlikable face.
I think this is a funny, fine episode.
Right.
I think the big problem I draw is they've begun to make Matt Smith too quirky.
He's very quirky in this
where episode. He's lost everything else and he's just quirk. And I said to you, I'm willing to justify it's because he's trying to fit in with humans and he's just way misinterpreting it. But come on, the Doctor's 900. He knows what football is. He knows this. It wouldn't be like that. You know?
Yep. It's true.
So Gareth, a bit of a letdown there, my boy. But this episode is a filler. It's a filler episode.
Don't watch it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, watch it once.
This is probably my least favorite Gareth has done so far. He did Shakespeare Code and he did... Oh, no. He wrote Planet of the Dead. Never mind.
Gareth. What's going on, big guy?
Big guy, what's going on? I'm just going to read through the notes because there's a couple of pretty funny lines in here. The couch, you're starting to look like it.
Owned.
It
just destroys her.
She's my mascot. Goofy jazz music plays.
I thought it fit.
The Doctor plays football epically, and the music goes do 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 do. It's good.
It was an upbeat version.
I literally die of quirkiness.
Yeah.
It's art. Ain't modern society awful?
Yeah.
That's good.
He's got some good lines, some not so good lines.
And the idea's okay with a ship kind of
Then who turned out the lights? Then who's on the third floor?
Why is the clock still ticking?
Why we didn't have the parts?
And again, this is an interesting little time travel thing because Amy's the one who sends him there because afterwards they leave a note to go to here. So there's some interesting kind of little sci-fi ideas in it again. I would like the romance between the two lodgers better if it wasn't James Corden.
Right.
But it's fine. It's dumb at the end, but it's whatever.
It gets really dumb.
It gets really dumb, yeah. This episode is pretty fun, though, so...
Right.
For the most part. And then it gets so fucking dumb.
They sort of do a cop-out with getting James Corden to understand who he really is without... the TARDIS and without anything else to actually show him. He just goes Vulcan mode.
He just hits him on the head.
Headbutts him and that transfers his knowledge somehow or something.
Right. That is dumb.
But I don't know really what else they do.
Right.
So I it's whatever.
Yeah. That's probably a 5 out of 10 for me. I could watch it again. It's fairly fun. It does start to fall apart.
It's probably going to be much better than the other one with Corden later on.
Closing time I remember being rough. I don't remember much about it. So from the Cybermite. I don't have a lot to say. It's fine. It's a fine filler episode. Oh, Unicorn and the Wasp was the other one he wrote. So he's good at these...
did get those vibes. I wanted to say that while we were watching it. I was like, this is giving me Unicorn and the Wasp vibes.
I think he is good at writing these really funny, fun
episodes,
but so fucking stupid.
Right. He just... I mean, Unicorn and the Wasp is better because he sort of has the setting on his side.
Yeah. The setting, the characters, and the framework of the mystery.
And then this one, it's like, it's not in his favor because they just put a British talk show celebrity in there.
Yeah. And this is the third celebrity to cameo in this series.
First being Obama.
So I meant just series 5, but yeah. So we get that, and then we get the finale. which the first part is the
What a stupid episode to put right before the
finale. The Pandorica Opens.
It's this. Both these parts, I think, until the end of the second part, they're very fast, very all over the place. Even just the amount of work put in before the cold open.
The first part is so all over the place. Yes. It very much gives me kind of Stolen Planet vibes.
It's because it's trying to put everything he's done with this season so far together.
So yeah, the cold open is Vincent van Gogh paints Pandorica Opens, which is the TARDIS blowing up.
Yep.
And
it gives like timelines and stuff in the painting that like it's breadcrumbs that'll be like put across time basically to tell the Doctor something.
Yeah, and I want to like the concept because I do like them jumping back, all traveling through time. It goes from this person to this person. And then they do the river song thing again with the cliff, and that kind of makes me angry.
Hello, sweetie.
Because I liked it the first time. That was something I genuinely liked. And then he just does
had
it
to do
again.
it again. Yeah. Davies had some jokes like that.
Yeah, for sure.
He would reuse a joke.
Yeah. Well, he had 3 jokes, as we said.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, they arrive in the Centurion camp, and she shows him the picture, and then we get the do.
Yep. Then
it slows down a little bit.
All the lead up to actually discovering the Pandorica is very Indiana Jones.
Yes.
It's not saying it's bad or anything. It's just how it feels.
It's just a fun adventure story. I don't have a lot of fun with
mystery
and but I can see where people might.
Yeah.
It's cool to have Stonehenge come up to be.
It is. I think it's the actual Stonehenge.
It looks like it, yeah.
For at least some of the moments.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's an interesting idea that it's this kind of transmitter.
Mm-hmm.
They go under, and there is a
I do
fairy
end
tale.
up loving what the Pandorica is.
Yeah. So throughout the series, a couple of times people have told the Doctor the Pandorica is going to open.
And they're also telling him silence will fall.
Yeah.
That
won't be resolved for 2 series. Yeah.
Come on, Moffat.
Well, the silence show up next series, but not the silence that are from the Church of Trenzalore.
It wasn't
who have the silence fall.
Dude.
Yeah.
He can't just do one thing at once. He cannot help himself.
I appreciate that because I feel it gives this era some kind of cohesion.
Right.
But at the same time, sometimes you're like, please, Moffat, please stop.
Right.
So yeah, episode happens. Rory comes back.
He's a plastic centurion,
and I want to save my big argument for the end, so I'll just say they took all this stuff from Amy's mind.
Right. There's an alliance has been made. So basically, the transmission of the Pandorica through Stonehenge is causing all of the Doctor's enemies, or just a lot of them, Centaurans, Cybermen, Daleks, to come, and he gives a speech and tells them to go away. I think the speech is corny in a way that I do not like.
It is corny. I do feel Matt Smith delivers it pretty well, though. Which is what I said earlier.
You would think that the writing, I mean, he's a good actor. The writing gets in my way too much for me to enjoy it. It's like it crosses that line to where it's a little too sanctimonious. I also feel that in 11th Hour. But as we say, it's the next episode of the next era.
Right.
He has big shoes to fill.
It makes more sense than that, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't like it here as much. But them after him being like, I'm the Doctor, so which one of you is going to come after me first, and them all leaving, it actually makes sense plot wise because they are all in an alliance, and the Pandorica is a prison cell that's supposed to hold the Doctor forever.
Because they realized they are scared of the cracks in time, and they realize it's caused by the TARDIS exploding.
So they're like, the Doctor.
So they have to trap him. Yeah,
right. But it was really River Song that blew up the TARDIS
because she left the parking brake on.
Exactly. So that fucking bitch. That fucking bitch.
She looks better in this episode. I feel in Flesh and Stone she looked really old for some reason. She looks fine in this one. I guess they put more makeup on or something. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, they also had like a wedding dress, Amy, which was good.
True. Yeah, this first part is just really kind of forgettable for me, except for the end.
Right. I really love the end, actually.
Yeah,
with the
I agree.
slow-mo, and River song, trying to like
silence will fall.
Yeah, trying to save the TARDIS, and Amy being shot by
Yeah.
Centurion Rory.
Centurion Rory takes him out. Yeah, so if you didn't notice, they took all the Centurions and made them into Autons from her book.
Right.
And in the book was a picture of her with Rory in the Centurion costume. So they assumed he was one of the Centurions.
I saw that, but it didn't.
Yeah.
My brain didn't connect that. Okay.
Right. And then it's kind of implied that the reason he comes back to being fully him, at least as he's the Centurion, is because she remembers him. Kind of like the whole theme of this two-parter is memory and words and bringing people back.
They definitely handle this theme well in this finale. I love the idea of all of a lot of his primary enemies working together to put him away forever.
Yeah. And they're not even just out to get him, because they all say, we're only doing this because you caused the cracks in time. So they're almost like doing a good thing for the universe. Yeah,
because they're like, the universe will end, and it's like, and if the universe ends, then they have no universe to conquer.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes sense. And I don't know, it makes more sense with the lines of, like, you know, the Pandorica holds like the scariest thing in the universe.
Yeah. Of course it's him.
It's the Doctor.
And that River even has a line early on, which will apply to my whole discussion later, but she goes, I hate fairy tales, they always turn out to be him.
Oh yeah, she's like, I hate wizards and old stories. They are always him. Yeah. That's good.
So that is good. So they trap him in the Pandorica, and then the TARDIS explodes, and we get to see the universe vanish.
Do we get an explanation as to why it does here?
As to why it explodes?
The TARDIS explodes?
I am willing to say there is enough that we can explain it. We hear the silence will fall, and then the screen cracks, which is what starts the TARDIS.
Because the TARDIS is
exploding.
Going off. River's like trying to put the pieces together and finds out the whole Pandorica, why it's weird, why Amy's the way she is.
Right. And I think she's trying to save the TARDIS, but it blows up.
Yeah, it's sort of doing its own thing.
If we're going to jump forward 2 series here for me to explain this.
I was just asking, is it explained in this episode?
No. Okay. Well, not really. It's explained in that someone did it.
Okay, I don't necessarily. I'm not even like mad. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, because basically the silence we meet. Spoiler time in series 6 is a rogue sect of the Church of Trenzalore,
the Cult of Saxon,
who will do anything to stop the Doctor from answering the question. That's why their motto is "Silence will fall. The question must not be answered." So basically, they're trying to blow up the TARDIS so the Doctor will never make it to Trenzalore to answer the question, which is the very last Matt Smith episode.
Sort of seeping into the second part here, while the TARDIS is in a perpetual exploding state, destroying the universe. So apparently, Time Lords are just pumping out this machinery
the most fucking dangerous
that the Doctor literally says it is like impacting every atom of the universe
through time and space.
It's like they're just pumping them out like candy bars in Gallifrey. It's like Jesus.
Right. The Time Lords are sick.
They're messed up, man. No wonder the Doctor just fucking trapped them all.
Yeah. Okay. This is a really fucking stupid episode. That's my first notes. Flashbacks.
It grew on me by the end.
Yeah, same. Oh, no!
Oh, yeah, famous line from Rory Williams.
Liam Neeson, Centauran.
It actually looks like him.
Yeah. I'd give this a 6 out of 10.
Damn.
It's okay. Ending is great. The rest is bland.
Am I considering giving a Moffat era episode a better rating than you even? Can you believe it?
That's crazy. That's not okay.
That's not allowed.
My big problem with this is it doesn't do a whole lot. It does a lot for the series, which I can appreciate. But in and of itself, it's just kind of that ending, and the rest falls flat for me.
Oh, dang. Is it like that? Is that me with every other first part of a two-parter, but somehow you always side with the first part anyways?
I'm with the second part this time.
Because I'm like, second part, things actually happen?
Yeah. Yeah, it's too much things happen in this one for me. All the fast-paced adventure stuff is just really fucking boring to me. Yeah. Anyways, the second part is the Big Bang.
Weak name.
Weak name, we agreed.
Could have been a better line.
Yeah. The things we lost or something like
Some
that.
bullshit.
Yeah,
Who
whatever.
cares?
Fuck it. Silence will fall. Who cares? So this starts with little Amy Pond getting
the things
shunned.
that never were, or like
Yeah,
the things
yeah.
anyway.
Getting shunned because she believes in stars.
Oh my
She's
god.
into star girl.
Yeah, like, so it's weird. The universe is like ending, but slowly?
Yeah, so basically, because the universe is so vast, they explain it as this was the epicenter was Amy's house. It's the center of the eye.
It's the eye of the storm.
So everything's just slowly kind of collapsing in.
Okay.
And so it's the last point to go.
That is interesting. I don't...
Right, and it's explained, even though the sun's gone out, Earth is still getting heat from the TARDIS.
Right, that's
exploding.
keeping the Earth
and that's
alive.
Obviously going to be the last point destroyed, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I think the more you think about it, the more sense it makes.
Yeah. And I'll come out and say it now. I love this episode. This is probably Moffat's best just sci-fi episode. There's so many interesting little sci-fi ideas. There's great time travel stuff. There's just so many interesting little sci-fi bits. The universe stored inside, the restarting of it, the whole power of words, remembrance thing is done really well. Yeah, it's just a really interesting self-contained little sci-fi episode. I think
there is a lot going on. Because you do get the whole Pandorica, it can heal things, so they stop Amy from dying after being shot by putting her in the Pandorica,
right.
And then Rory decides to stay. It's not really important because Rory could have gone with the Doctor,
right.
But I actually like the little bit where Rory stays with her for 2,000 years.
Yeah, and you get the mythos built up around him.
The Centurion that went missing after the London Blitz, but it was rumored that he carried the Pandorica by hand
out of the warehouse.
That's pretty good.
It's awesome. Yeah,
adds to Rory's character.
It does.
Which again, by contrast, makes you dislike Amy a little more by realizing that she is not loyal to him.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's another topic.
Right, and they begin to fix her more in this episode, I think. Yeah, and that's why I like this, because I think you could show this to someone as just a contained little sci-fi story, and they'd understand it enough.
Right.
They'd like it.
Yeah.
And that's why I like it a lot, because it is just this little bubble of sci-fi.
Yeah, it's like a movie.
It is, and it ends the series really well, but it also works really well, just completely self-contained. Bursting with ideas. There's so many fucking ideas in this thing. The
Doctor going all over the place with the vortex manipulator. So, correct me if I'm wrong. River does get that from that blue guy in the first part,
correct.
Right?
Yep.
I think he looks at the box even, and he says something about
you should have removed the arm.
Yeah, like it was still attached to whoever's arm.
Captain Jack.
Captain Jack. Anyway, yeah. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Headcanon,
yeah. Yeah, I don't even know where else to go, because there are so many just little interesting sci-fi ideas here. This is where we learn just how sick and twisted Moffat is when he's like, isn't it weird? Your house is so big. You know, what happened to your mom and dad?
Before the Doctor decides to go into the Pandorica and fix the TARDIS explosion so that it heals the universe instead.
Right. And that idea is really interesting too, because the Pandorica essentially has a blueprint of the old universe because it protects everything within, and it has a restorative property to it, almost like the nanogens.
And I asked, was it created by the alliance of all these different clans and creatures? I
believe that's what they say.
That's like the only thing, because it was a plan to lock him in there.
Yes.
So, and they got the idea, the blueprints from Amy's like house.
Yes, from her mind.
Right. So that's the only...
And because he says she has all these interesting ideas because the universe is pouring things into her mind through the crack in time. So she's like seeing the universe essentially in her mind.
In that sense, it works both ways.
Right.
It's sort of outputting.
Yeah, it's a paradox almost.
Right.
She sees it created, so that pours back through the crack in time to herself. Again, it's just like this interesting little sci-fi idea.
Yeah.
So that restorative energy is shot all across the universe because the TARDIS explodes at every point in time and space. It affects every atom. So every atom can be healed through the blueprint of the old universe.
Forget reality bomb. The virgin,
the
the virgin Dalek, like
Reality
creates a new solar system of planets stolen across the galaxy versus the Chad press one button wrong on the TARDIS and end reality. Like, forget that.
The Church of the Silence come and push the blow up TARDIS.
Yeah, like that's all you gotta do, man.
River Song leaves the parking brake on and ends reality.
Oh my god. Bad wolf.
And then, yeah, probably my favorite idea here, just because I love time travel ideas and stories a lot. It's when the Doctor's being wiped from reality, so he's going back in his own timeline, but he can still affect events because the cracks in time are closing.
Right.
And so
it works retroactively.
Yeah. So it
still affects those moments that they were in.
So we see him in Flesh and Stone comforting Amy. And he tells her, "Remember what I told you when you were 7." And the next stop is when she was 7.
Yep.
He whispers some stuff in her ear, and then he's gone.
Yeah, he puts her to bed. It's a really sweet moment. That's all the moments where he's like, I fixed it. You'll
wake up with parents tomorrow,
but I'll be gone. I'll just be a story.
Right,
and that's
where
the theme.
You won't need your imaginary friend.
Right, that's where the theme of the power of words comes. Like it's repeated more than once. That it's like, if you remember something, you can bring it back.
Bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you remember that there's an episode where a giant Victorian Cyberman, you can bring
it back. Yeah. I manifested that episode.
It never existed before,
right.
Yeah.
No, but it's the fact that he really tried to hammer home this theme is why I am okay.
Right. It's in the it's on the previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's really well.
And I like how before it goes too far back into his timeline, he's like, they'll
skip the rest.
Yeah, and he just walks into the crack.
Yeah. It's
good.
It is good.
She wakes up with a very patrician-looking father.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Amy, it's her wedding day. She looks good in her dress.
They finally did it.
They did it.
They finally gave her good costume.
Yeah. Amy is.
She has a very strange shape.
Yeah,
she has a very strange look.
She has a beautiful face.
Right.
But yeah,
she's very strange and lanky.
She's kind of stringy.
She's stringy and frumpy at the same time.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
They don't really give her don't really flatter her
a lot. Yeah,
but the wedding dress was good. This is the real commentary. Forget all the
Amy is the hottest companion. Yes, thank you.
I'll just wait till we get to Red Dress Clara.
Oh baby.
Okay, move on, quick.
But yeah, she brings back the Doctor. The funniest friggin' moment. You're just at some friend's wedding.
Yeah.
And they stand up and go, "Wait, my imaginary friend's not here. Oh, something borrowed, something old, something new, something blue."
And then they're all like, "Oh, not this again."
And then he goes,
yeah. And the Doctor does a very scary dance in front of a bunch of children.
Yeah, we get a classic Moffat cliffhanger with the Mummy on the Orient Express. That is a Series 8 episode.
All right, I'll get back to you. I won't be Capaldi until I'm going to be Capaldi then.
But yeah, I love this episode because it is just a bunch of little sci-fi ideas. It's loads of fun. River Song's only in it for like 2 minutes. Pretty much all the compliments I can give.
All the good things. As good as it can get for a Moffat finale.
Yeah, my notes here. Star Cult. Simpus Maximus, of course.
There he is.
We're going to space, Florida.
That's a British joke. That's a British person joke.
And then the Goldfinger theme, because randomly the horns.
You say that, but I wouldn't know.
And I'm like, wait a minute, this is James Bond. What the fuck? It's not actually Goldfinger. I don't remember which one it is though. Maybe it is Goldfinger. I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Oh no, it is Goldfinger. Okay, I think. Anyways,
I'm glad you figured that out for yourself.
Yeah. Anyways, this episode for me is a 10 out of 10.
I don't think I'd give it a 10 out of 10, but I'd give it a 9.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would. And he couldn't keep himself from getting copyrighted for one episode. He just couldn't help himself.
I had to do it. I had to. Anyways, now I every time I say that now.
Anyways,
I want to die.
Davies, why? Why?
But yeah, now I can do my whole kind of series 4 argument. People have come to calling Matt Smith the fairy tale doctor, and I think
that's accurate.
Never is that more apparent than in this series, because this whole series is about words, stories, and fairy tales.
Yeah.
That's why he thinks the Pandoricas, it's a myth, it's a fairy tale. And it is. It
because
comes from Amy's
mind. A little girl's mind. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's all the Centurions and everything. They're stories. They're fairy tales.
It's the point though. It's the point of this arc.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And Amy is very much an audience surrogate.
Yeah.
In that the doctor's a fairy tale to her.
Right.
He was her imaginary friend as a
She's a bit
kid.
of an every girl.
Yeah. But she grew up with the doctor being this influential force on her.
Yeah.
Much like the show to a lot of people. And then she kind of grew up with him as he came back.
Well, he's like, what happened to you? And she's like, I grew up.
Yeah,
but
I'll fix that.
Oh, no.
Please, Matt, stop.
No, Moffat, don't fix it. Don't fix it.
But yeah, the crack in time kind of contributes to this too, because when people go through that, all that's left of them are these fragments, these stories that we tell each other.
That's
and
what
they
the
kind of
doctor
become
says. He
fairy
says
tales.
We're all stories in the end. That's all we are.
And I really like this idea because, of course, the doctor's going to be revered as this folk tale, this god, this fairy tale among people who meet him. Yeah.
And then I'll be an actual god.
But it's just such this interesting idea, and it feeds this series really well because so many things contribute to it. The aesthetic of this series is very fairy tale-esque. It's fun. It's very loose. It doesn't take itself super seriously. The stories are a little more fantasy-esque, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you could show a kid every one of these episodes. You probably couldn't show a kid Midnight.
Right.
They'd probably have nightmares.
They would die, yeah. The whole series just feels very storytale-esque. Obviously, those are the themes going on. And then this is probably my favorite series score from Murray Gold so far. I think every track is great. It plays through really well. I Am the Doctor's the clear highlight. I think they play that a little too much.
Yeah, it's about every episode.
It is, but it does kind of contribute to that.
It's really just
fairy tale style, because that's a fairy tale track. You know, the do.
It works if you think of it as just Eleven's theme.
It is, yeah.
It really is just Eleven's theme.
It's just it's the Doctor's theme. I Am the Doctor. That's why it's called that. Yeah. But I just love that. I love the aesthetic of this series, the just fairy tale atmosphere, the different sci-fi ideas that are in it each, but at the same time they're viewed as kind of this grand, unexplained fantasy type thing. I don't know. I just like that. I like it a lot.
This is all you, man. I fucking hate everything. I hate this show. I hate Moffat. I hate Matt Smith. No, I'm kidding. This is probably going to end up being my... well, I don't know if it'll end up being my favorite Moffat. It might be. Yeah. It probably will end up being my favorite. He
definitely
Moffat.
starts running.
Because it's the most... competent.
It's cohesive. Everything fits together well.
Yeah.
They're not all good episodes, but it works as a good season.
Yeah, I think things are definitely just going to end up breaking down a bit.
Yeah.
So this is more of a testament to him being able to juggle so many ideas at once and it actually working out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And it's a very different arc too.
Yeah.
As opposed to the
Davies same
ones.
thing every time.
Yeah, and I appreciate this one a whole lot because not only is it a different arc in the season, but it's a different arc that continues for the next 2 seasons.
Right.
Obviously, it's different aspects of it, but this story was set up in 11th Hour and it ends in Time of the Doctor.
He gets his all of his Matt Smith season Doctor plots to connect.
Yes, which I really appreciate. It gives it
rather than just through cameos.
Right.
It is actually sort of
right. The actual
something that sets,
arcs are connected.
It sets something up and it attempts to pay them off.
Right, because Big Bang ends, I would argue, the weakest moment of Big Bang. It ends with him talking to River Song. He goes, "Who are you?" She goes, "You'll find out very soon. It happens to be the arc of the next series."
He's like, "Oh, were you asking?
Are you married?
Marry me?" And she's like, "Yes."
He's like, "That's not what I meant.
Yes. We love River Song.
Yeah,
don't
we
love
folks? Her. We love her.
We love her.
Can't wait till we get to
we love her to death.
I can't wait till we get to a very specific episode next series where she's in it and she says they should kill a historical figure of some kind and Anyways,
see you next time.
Let me get to the episode rank.
All right, yes.
At the best episode is Amy's Choice.
I agree.
Because the dream aspect just barely beats out the sci-fi aspect of Big Bang for me. Plus, it's just great characters for once. Mr. Moffat decides to write character. Oh, well, he didn't write it. That's why.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Oh, what a surprise.
I would probably put Big Bang second, though.
Yeah, for me, my number 2 is Big Bang. It's gone. It's all gone.
I deleted my list.
In next place for me is 11th Hour. Mostly because of the Amy Pond bits. I love that story and the way it's shot and the music there is all just fantastic. I do have it in my full rank. It's one episode below Girl in the Fireplace. So it is just a worse version of Girl in the Fireplace.
Yeah, because she lives.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, I have Beast Below. Then I have Vincent and the Doctor. Then we jump down a considerable amount. And I have Flesh and Stone, Time of the Angels, Pandorica Opens, The Lodger, Hungry Earth, Victory of the Daleks, Cold Blood, and then Vampires in Venice. Whew, those last ones, they're something. And the average came out.
Lodger above Flesh and Stone.
Bold.
I say that because
I know. I get it.
I think the Angels was the best thing Moffat ever had going for him.
Yeah. Yeah, because and we talked about this, he does reuse the exact same idea a lot. The Angels become the out of the corner of your eye in 11th Hour.
Yeah.
They become the look away and you forget silence.
Yeah.
They become the almost the listen monster where there's no monster. He uses it a lot, but it's a good idea, so whatever. The average came out to 6.6, which is the highest since season 1. This is probably my favorite season we watched so far. Because I'm a sick
More
person.
than one?
Because I'm a sick pervert.
Yeah.
I just love it. Feels so cohesive, and the fairy tale aspect just
it does
really
have a lot of setup and payoff moments,
and
aspects to it.
And as I said, I just love the sci-fi aspect too. It is probably the most sci-fi season to date.
Probably.
And it manages to do that without just falling apart.
Right.
Which is why it's good.
Yeah. Part of the reason I talked about this before we recorded. Part of the reason I think Davies era will always have more fondness in my eyes than Moffat era is because I remember Davies era the most. It had the most impact on me, and then Moffat era, it was just falling out of my mind.
Yeah.
It was always like bits and pieces.
The Moffat era fell through the cracks in time.
Exactly, it did. Whereas the Davies era, as soon as I started an episode, I could just remember the plot of the whole thing.
Right.
But like in Moffat, it's like, I don't know, does this happen? It's like just bits and pieces.
Right.
It's just like, it's out of my grasp. And even now, I feel like after a few months pass, I'm actually probably just going to forget most of this season. But I'll never forget a lot of most of the Davies era stuff. And that's probably because that's when the synapses in my brain were being formed and matured.
Yeah.
So it is more about that. I'm not even saying that it's better.
Right.
I'm just saying that's why I like it more.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy this season more than I thought I would.
I think this series I'll remember the most is probably always going to be series 1. It's just the one that stuck with me. We watched every episode. I went.
The fact that it's so standalone helps.
Yeah, I know this. Yeah. And I guess just because it was the first, so probably the most impactful.
Yeah.
And then these ones, all the Matt Smiths that I mentioned, I just have the huge nostalgia for. So I think I remember them pretty well. This one is probably the one I remembered the least. So I'm interested to see how the other ones pan out. I remember 6 really well. Do I like 6?
I can't imagine.
Do I like 6?
I don't envy you. That sounds like torture.
And then I remember 7 pretty well too.
It just gets hazier and hazier for me. It's so bad. I don't fucking remember anything about Clara's arc. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then
I don't remember anything about Matt Smith's regeneration other than it's the Time Lords give him more time energy.
Right. Yeah. And I watched all of Capaldi live too. I DVR'd them and I watched them live.
Except the final season, right?
Except the final season.
His final season, which I haven't watched at all.
Yeah, me neither. I watched the first episode and that was it. But yeah, those ones, they feel, for whatever reason, they still feel fresh and new. Whereas the Matt Smith ones feel like a memory, like childhood, like a warm blanket. And then Capaldi's like, oh, that came out a month ago, and it's like, oh wait, it's been what, 6 years? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to revisit those. I don't have a whole lot of closing thoughts. Amy is still my least favorite companion so far.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna change.
I don't think that's gonna change either. I remembered liking Rory more too, but I don't like him that much either. Yeah. I guess we'll see. Series 6 and 7A, we'll have to sell us on them.
They're here till 7?
Yeah. Halfway through 7.
Oh. They disappear halfway through?
Yeah.
Damn, okay. That's kind of epic.
That is epic.
I'm excited.
That's why there's 7A and 7B.
Excited to see him go.
7A starts with Red Dress Clara. 7B starts with Victorian Clara. And we all go, yes!
He's done it! He's done it.
Thank you, Moffat.
Yeah, join us next time where we actually kill ourselves because we have to watch Series 6.
I'm excited to go full schizo, to go where no schizo has gone before.
We lose our humanity. There's no coming back after that.
It really is gonna be.
And yes, we are putting Christmas Carol in Series 7 or in Series 6, not in Series 5. Even though technically the BBC Order era, it's technically a Series 5 episode, but we put them at the start if you paid attention.
Right. Retards. Idiot.